Welcome guys. So today we are going to talk about redo log files in Oracle database. In my earlier videos we have talked about undo data, and today we are talking about redo data and redo log files. What are those, how we manage them, and what's the use of them. Okay, so same as undo, if we have undo for data, we also can have redo for that data, and all that thing is those all that data is managed in redo log files. These files are very um, important for database recovery. Okay, so let's start. So redo log files and are operating system files used by Oracle to maintain logs of all transactions performed against the database. The primary purpose of these log files is to allow Oracle to recover changes made to the database in case of failure. Like if there is a failure, we can get these redo log files and apply those changes to get the correct uh, state of the database for the proper data. Uh, in this way, a redo for an insert is insert, like undo for an insert is delete, and again if we want to redo it, then we need to insert that row again. So and if a row is inserted, the undo for that is delete that, but the redo entry for that is insert that row again. This is same. Okay, I told you already. Similarly, for an update, the update entries are redo after the undo. I'll show you this. Okay, so and also we can check, we can have more than one redo log files for a database. We cannot have, like, if we have only one single redo log files, then there will be some issue in the database performance. All the logs getting returned to the that redo log files, and there are some other processes. We'll discuss this point in in next slides. Okay, so this is what I told you. For an insert, this is the insert statement in that row. Okay, insert, if with this we have inserted this row into the customer table. What is the redo for this? The redo for this is deleting this row. This is the insert statement, and redo for this is, undo for this is deleting that statement, and redo for this is we have deleted that statement. Okay, this is undo. And if we want to redo that, then we need to insert that row again, so that to get the correct state of the database table which we have earlier, this state. To get this state, we need to redo that. Okay, once earlier we are in this state, we have inserted this, then we undo this data, deleted that row, and then to go back to this state, we just need to apply the redo logs. And what is the redo data, and what we have in redo data, we have insert statement, so that we'll back to this state. Similarly, for an update statement, where id is 1, we are updating the name to Peter, but earlier we have Tom. Okay, so undo data for this is remove removing the update and providing the earlier data. So undo is that, but again if you want to redo it, we need to update the reach to this state, so we need to update again this. Similarly with the delete, we are deleting it, then undo for delete is inserting, and then redo for that is again delete, so that we'll get to this state. Okay, so this is undo is just the opposite of redo. It's to get to this state, we are just getting to this state, so that, and we reach to this state with the redo logs files and the redo data. I'll show you how. Okay, so we have redo log buffer for this. All the transactions which are being uh, committed, or which are just updating or anything, insert, update, delete, which are happening, those are getting inserted into redo log buffers. And then this is log writer. This gets the tra- redo log files from the redo log buffer and puts them into redo. The log writer gets the transactions from redo log buffer and put them into redo log files. We can have more than one redo log file, so any of which is current, we can update the transactions in that redo log file. We can, I'll show you how to see what are the how to check the redo log files which is current and which is active. I'll show you in the lab. Okay, so when redo logs written in the redo log files, I told you the log writer writes the transactions from redo log buffer to redo log files. Okay, so when that happens, when a user process commit a transaction, if a user committed a transaction, that transaction gets into the redo log buffer, and then uh, log writer puts that in redo log files, so that that is committed, and we are maintaining all those transactions which are updated, inserted, deleted, all any changes to the redo log files. Okay, when the redo log buffer is one third full, when this buffer is one third full, so that we just may, for one large query, we can't take a risk that, so that if we have a large query, this buffer will be full, and uh, in that case the database stops working, so we can't take that risk for this redo log buffer to be full. So once this is one third full, the log writer gets all the transaction and puts them into redo log files. Before the DB writer writes the modified buffer into the disk, we have a DB writer which writes the modified data into the disks where the data is stored. We like we can where the original data is stored, the master data, not the redo log files. And we are just managing the updates and the transactions in redo log files, but where the original data is stored, that disk, when the writer DB writer writes the modified buffer into the disk, before that the log writer writes redo log files, or every 3 seconds, whichever is early, or whichever the condition, which condition is met, the log writer writes the redo log files. Okay, so if we have a single redo log file, then in case of file gets corrupted, like if we have only one file in here, and if in with some condition, or if any by any mean this file gets corrupted, so log writer will not be able to write into this, and this process halts, and then database stops working, as it won't be able to complete this process, so database stops working. We can, so to overcome this situation, we can have multiple redo files, and also we are managing group of redo log files, so that uh, we we can manage them easily. I'll tell you what is the need of groups and what are those. Once the redo files in the one group gets full, the redo log buffer then writes the logs into another group. Okay, so these are the groups. You see, there are two in one group. We have two redo log files. We can have more than two or three, four, five, anything. So here, for just for information purpose, in here we are having two redo log files in, and we made the group one, and here we made group two, and same we made group three. Okay, and we are also managing all these both redo log files in separate disk 1 and disk 2. So if one disk is failed, we can get the redo log files from disk 2. Okay, so the same way here we have seen the redo log files, redo log file 1, 2, 3. This can redo log file 1a, 1b, we can manage them like this. Okay, so here are three groups. One, the redo log files for this group are full. The log writer, the log writer then moves to group 2 and writes the redo log buffer for, transactions to this, the redo log files of this group. When this is full, then log writer moves to this and uh, puts the transaction and writes the transaction of redo log buffer to this, and then uh, when this is also full, then it moves back to group 1, and again this process continues in a periodic way. Okay, in a periodic way, so that we'll see like if there is anything, we know what's the next redo log file to be written. Okay, I'll show you a few things in lab. Okay, so we can get the data from this data dictionary view. You see, here we are seeing group 1, 2 and 3, and all the groups have one log file right now. You see, redo log 3, redo log 2, redo log 1. Okay, and we can also have one more thing. You can see, to check, this is v.log file and this is v dollar log. By this we can get the status of redo log files. Group 1, for group 1, the group 1 redo log files are at current right now. It means the log writer is writing redo log files of group 1 right now, and if these gets full, then it moves to redo log files 2. So it, I told you that that can be for it's when that gets full, redo log files of group 1 gets full, then it moves to this location, or we can change, switch from one log file to another log file by using this ultra system switch log file, so that after this the log writer moves to redo log files of some other. Okay, so how we add a log file to this group or any group? Let's see, we are seeing here only one redo log files we have right now. Okay, so we are adding a log file to group 1, group 2, group 3. Let's try for group 1 now. This is the command. This alter database add log file member the location. We have already checked in the with the query. There is the member. In member we are putting the location. So if I run this, we are adding to group 1. Okay. If I again run this, you see this is showing invalid. I'll tell you how why this is showing it, but for now, you see, for group 1 we have two log files right now, redo log files. One is redo 01, one is redo 01b, which we have just added, redo 01b. Okay, so same with group 2 and with group 3. Okay, so let's see. Okay, using the newly added three files are showing invalid right now because they are not in use right now. We have just added it. There's no data and no one has used these data files right now. So how we change the status, how we do it? So for that, this is the command. Like we can switch from the previous log files to the newer log files. You can run this 2-3 times so that logs will be moved from this to this, group 1 2 3, or all those groups get filled. Some data gets filled in these redo log files. Right now we are working on it our own database, so only that redo log files will have this or some oracle processes, but in production we'll have so much in the redo log files. Okay, so I think it's fine now. So let's see. First see this. Okay, so you see the invalid state from here is removed right now. Okay, so maybe so these have some data in it, these are used, so that's why the invalid state is removed from here. And now we are going to see which is the current. Okay, uh, you will be seeing it, but let me get the only proper columns. We are just getting group number, bytes, and status. Group number 2 is current now. Earlier we were saying group number 1 was current, but now we are seeing group number 2 is current, and these are showing active because active status will be shown to those which are required for recovery purpose. The redo log files for recovery purpose are required, for which are showing active state. The current is which are on which the log writer is writing the redo logs. Okay, so redo log files are very much important and they are required for the recovery purpose of the database. Okay, so I think we are done here, and in the next videos we'll be seeing uh, some other topics. So thank you. Bye bye.